there's, I don't know, there's an official baton pass. Does Michelle just take over now? How does this work? Or does Keith be like, here, I bestow upon you this enormous gavel?
I would give her an enormous, I'm giving her a imaginary enormous gavel.
Nice.
I am receiving the gavel. Like improv 101. Thank you. I call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Happy New Year. I think we have, just scrolling through to see how many of our members are in attendance, and I think we have a quorum. So without further ado, I'm going to get this show on the road. Thank you all for being here. I know you could be anywhere in the world, literally, because we're on Zoom, but also you could be spending your time any way you want to, but you're here. So thank you for being here. We're going to do a little bit longer introduction today. We did have a cancellation on our agenda. Sarah from the Land of Sky will not be joining us to do a presentation today, which is good because I think we're welcoming new members. We're starting to think about what we want to accomplish this year. So there's a real opportunity here to set the stage for how we want to work together and how we want to be together for the year to come. We also will take on the joyous task of finding a new meeting time, which could take a lot of time. I have no idea. So that's something on the agenda. Fair warning, and please think about that and have your calendars ready for that item. But first, I just want to do a little bit of a round robin. I want to go around to all of the members of the BHPCC and talk a bit. I want you, especially new members, I want you to have a chance to introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are professionally, personally, where you live in Buncombe County. And I have two icebreaker questions for today, and they're kind of meaty. And Summer, if you don't mind, I'd actually like these to be recorded. And the two questions are, big picture, long-term, what is your hope for the BHP? Like, what do you want the Blue Horizons Project to do, to accomplish? What is like this one thing that you just have in the back of your head? It could just be a glimmer or a hope that you just would love to see the Blue Horizons Project tackle. And then more concretely, maybe, what do you want to see happen this year? And I know for new members, you're kind of like, I don't know, I just got here. It could be as simple as connections you want the group to make, goals you want us to set and make progress to. So it doesn't have to be brick and mortar solar panels on this specific thing, but it could be if you really, really want to take that on as your project. But anyway, so those are the two prompts, and I'll go first. I'm Michelle Myers. I've worked in community organizing and environmental advocacy for about 15 years, but now I'm just a mom. I have the pleasure of staying home with my 1.5-year-old Elliot. We live in West Asheville, and I joined this council because I really think that we need to focus on local actions in order to tackle the climate crisis. And I'd focused a lot of my previous advocacy work there. So I am trying to walk my talk and make it happen by serving as your chair, and hopefully over the next year. And I hope that this year we really are able to strengthen our network in the community. And long-term, I really hope that we become a household name and that people are looking to the Blue Horizons Project for guidance on how to meet our climate goals and really, in all facets of life, from transportation to home to where to shop, what to eat, where to go. I really want to see us as an integral part of the fabric of Asheville. And, this hotel gets the Blue Horizons Project stamp of approval kind of thing, because they are doing climate action steps. So that's my big picture goal. And I hope we are able to strengthen relationships this year in order to make that long-term goal happen. And I will ask for a volunteer because that's kind of a meaty thing. So if anyone's ready to go, I would love to have a volunteer, and then we'll round robin if I don't get any.
So you want to hear from members first and then non-members after if there's time? Or everybody?
The members right now.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we did a non-member introduction last meeting, so maybe we'll do that next meeting too. Oh, one other thing, sorry. I am going to have Jamie be the timekeeper for this meeting. And I think timekeeping is something we're going to set going forward. So every meeting, I'm going to ask someone to serve as timekeeper, and we're going to try to stick to the agenda by having someone gently but firmly remind us that we need to keep time. So Jamie, because we're just taking up Sarah's spot, you get to keep track of how much time we have for this session. And if we have time, we can go to non-members or committee members. But why don't you just let us know when you want us to stop, and we'll see how far we get.
I'll adjust it on the agenda.
Thanks. Micah, did I see you volunteering to
I
go
was gonna
first?
volunteer. Hi, my name is Micah Kraus, and I moved to Asheville about 1.5 years ago. I have a background in working in environmental sustainability, ESG communications, working for Environmental Defense Fund, leading clean energy communications and clean air for a very long time, over a decade, and then led global sustainability comms for Walmart and a lot of other companies while at a large global PR firm. So PepsiCo, Lego, Dow, a lot of big corporate sustainability work. I also have an MBA in sustainability, and so it's been my life for the past 20 years, and working on it really from a policy perspective, kind of large top down. And while I was in those positions at Environmental Defense Fund and other places, realizing how important it is for local grassroots, for these actions to work together to make it possible. So as a sustainability comms coach and consultant, I'm really focused on trying to help locally, help spur clean energy and electrification and anything else that we can do. And my hopes for this project and this effort would be similar to yours, in that we, as a communications professional, I'd love to raise the awareness, educate, encourage, inspire action for residents of Buncombe County, but also companies, entrepreneurs, and others that are just looking for resources and direction for how to start or how to push the envelope if they've already started. So really love to be a resource as a group to those that are looking for more information and to really move the needle on climate, energy, nature, waste, all of it. And then, this year, I think just from my perspective, one way that I would like to help is really help elevate the brand. It's a little confusing, I think, to people that are new to Asheville and don't really understand what Blue Horizon Project is. So just helping define that and ensuring that, again, we become a household name. So whatever I can do from a comms perspective to help that, and also with community outreach and engagement. Excited to be involved there. Thanks.
Thanks, Micah. Do we have another volunteer?
I could jump in.
Hi,
Hello,
Maggie.
folks. My name is Maggie Ullman. I'm glad to be here. Second meeting I've been able to sit in on. And a little bit about my background. I've been working on sustainability for, again, around 20 years, similar to Micah. My career is focusing on environmental work. It ranges from local to national. I cut my teeth as Asheville's first sustainability director and founded the city's department. During that time, I led the city to reduce their carbon footprint as an organization by 20%, and built a lot of our local relationships. I was around the city when the Energy Innovation Task Force was formed, which was kind of the precursor to this. Then I left City Hall in 2014 and started working with national and international nonprofits and foundations on climate change work. And so joining you all is such a sweet recycle of my life to be really focused at the local level with this group, as well as your city councilwoman, your recently elected city councilwoman. So I'm thrilled to be doing that. The other element of my work in my day job, which I continue despite being on city council, is that I build coalitions around climate change. So whether that's in nonprofit or philanthropy, typically I haven't been involved in the private sector, but the skills and strategy it takes to really get folks to row in the same direction is where I've spent the last 10 years of my career, and want to add that to this, because ultimately that's what we are, right? We're a big coalition of folks trying to point towards something. And so how do we get our collective efforts moving towards our goals? As far as longer term and shorter term, obviously something I'm really interested in is making sure that the work you all are leading docks in to city policy work so that I can influence even better policy outcomes for our local government. But also I want to get like real tangible with some of the policies the city does have on the book and start like counting those megawatts. Like I'm ready to go from strategy and ideation into who is going to pull together the program to execute this type of stuff. I feel like we've spent a lot of effort needed to get our 100% renewable energy policy on the books, for example, and that is our compass now. That's our North Star, and that's awesome. And now that many of you all were part of getting those policies on the books, it's time to follow through. And so that's where I want to put my time into, is really getting to the programmatic level to take the actions to meet those type of goals that we've set together. Thank you.
Love it. Thanks, Maggie. Jump in, or I will. Seth, I saw you came off mute. So, oh, Larry, I got you on
At
Seth.
the risk of following Maggie, my name is Seth Little, and I work for a company called Clear Result. And though none of you have ever heard of Clear Result before, we're actually an industry leader in energy efficiency, electrification, decarbonization, and demand response programs across the United States, primarily with utilities as the client base, although that's changing within the industry as well. And just really selfishly, I've been working in the industry for 10 years. At Clear Result, I actually lead our residential practice, where we're focused on standardization and innovation within particularly customer engagement for residential programs. And just really selfishly, like I've worked for Clear Result, or worked in the industry for 10 years. I love living in Asheville, and I don't really have any professional connection to Asheville as a whole. And so just the opportunity to be able to bring some professional expertise to the city that I love, and to be able to make some connections, and to be able to push on, these shared goals, which for me represent the defining moment of our time, is really attractive. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be here. So thank you for having me. I briefly, I got to meet Sam and Brad and some others on the program subcommittee of the Energy Innovation Task Force when it was first getting going. But, for kind of professional reasons, had to roll off that, and kind of excited to be back. But I don't know what y'all have done in the meantime. But I had the opportunity to attend ACEEE's summer study this year. And while I was there, the magnitude of what real decarbonization means, and what it's actually going to represent to get there, really hit home for me. And I really just want to see us make a lot of tangible progress. Maggie, I love that you're mentioning, getting to the megawatts, right? Let's get to the megawatts. From my side, getting to really tangible ways that we can interact and start to begin to push particularly residential customers towards those valuable decarbonization decisions is something I'd like to work on a lot this year. I think, at Clear Result, we're kind of working on a theory that maybe the time for residential decarbonization is really close. And I think a city like Asheville would be a great exemplar for, whether or not citizens are ready to kind of take control of their own decarbonization journeys. And so let's figure out a way to empower them to do that.
Nice. Clary, I saw you come off.
Great. Hi, everybody. I am professionally COO/CEO of Sugar Hollow Solar, residential solar company in town. I've been in solar for about 15 years. Helped with a solar company in Vermont for a long time, did environmental activism and policy work before that, up and down the East Coast. And I'm from this region and made my way back just about 2.5 years ago, went to Appalachian State. And desires with BHPCC. So I've worked on clean energy primarily, being in the solar industry. And I am really curious with the transportation, kind of what avenues BHPCC works in, and really I really want to figure out how to help make Asheville a less car dependent city. That's a personal desire, community desire. And beyond that, yeah, I really echo the sentiment of coalition building, partnerships, how to collaborate with other groups that are doing the work. Obviously, my mind goes to both public, private, working in the private sector for the last number of years. I see that private can be a really good partner in mission-driven initiatives as well.
Thank you.
Happy to go next. Hi, everyone. My name is Ben Stockdale. Really excited to be a part of this awesome group and something that I've had on my radar for a while now. I grew up in Polk County, which is about 45 minutes south of Asheville. I'm a graduate of UNCA, and in 2017, while I was a student there, I banded together with some friends to start a group called Renew AVL with the purpose of assisting and advocating for the 100% clean energy commitment. And that was really my first foray into clean energy. Previous to that, I'd worked in politics. I've worked at the state legislature, managed a few campaigns. And so I kind of combined those two interests and worked for the North Carolina Sustainable Energy Association in Raleigh as a lobbyist and a government affairs manager to work to advance clean energy policy at the state level. And then for the past almost about 2 years, I've been working for Pine Gate Renewables as a project manager, managing utility scale projects. And I'm really excited to bring those experiences to Blue Horizons and contribute in any way that I can. And I would love to be, celebrating in 19 years, or if we can get there sooner, to celebrate the procurement and generation of 2,300 megawatts, of rooftop and utility scale and all different forms of clean energy that we can generate. I think that's really, on my, the flag out in the future. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the long term. In the short term, I'd really, like I said, love to be able to contribute in any way that I can with procuring utility scale solar. Obviously, it's what I'm really familiar with. I look at projects all the time, so I'd love to be able to identify a project that might work for the county or city and find creative ways to make that work. So that's what I'm really excited about. And yeah, I'm just so grateful to be here. Thanks for allowing me to be a part of this group, and looking forward to the work to come.
Thanks, Ben. Ken or Rocky, do either of you want to jump in?
You ask me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Hi, all. Good afternoon. My name is Rakesh. I go by Rocky. Professionally, I'm a consultant at a company called Accenture, and I work with automotive companies predominantly around the e-mobility solutions. So right now, I'm helping an automotive company build a software solution that enables vehicle-to-grid power transfer. So, and I've worked in this role for about 3 years now. Worked with different companies in launching products such as rooftop solar and home chargers, home energy management systems, and things like that. And my background is transportation. Actually, I majored in transportation and then technology policy at MIT in Boston. And I've been passionate about climate change for a long time now, but specifically in 2019, I traveled around the world on a motorcycle across South America, Africa, and Central Asia. And I saw firsthand the impact of global warming on crop failure and things like that, drought, etc. And yeah, I was looking for ways to contribute to this problem, but I was adopting more of a professional approach. But I realized that I can supplement that by working in my own community and helping get to net zero emissions. Couple of things I want to quickly point out is I heard the words tangible and coalition a couple of times, or even more than that so far in this call. I'm looking forward to both of that because I think I've been in similar focus groups in my past, and we discuss about a lot of things, but there are not too many actionable results that come out of it. So I'm looking for tangible outcomes that we can achieve. And sorry for the noise. Tangible outcomes that we can achieve, and hopefully building a coalition that is sustainable. And yeah, we can keep the work moving forward. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Rocky. Ken, are you ready to go?
Yeah, and I apologize for having the double screen. My computer microphone doesn't work unless I have a plug-in, and long story. But anyways, Ken Nelson with Blue Delta Energy. We are engaged in really in the policy and regulatory programs, incentive structures, and accounting. A lot of the bread and butter issues that we're trying to calculate the emissions reductions and finance what it is we're trying to accomplish. I've been in sustainability since 2008. I've been in energy since, about 1989. So I've seen a lot in terms of the evolution of policies and how to support energy. I'm on several stakeholder boards, and I'm really focused on, for example, the greenhouse gas protocols is released or is in the process of a survey for implementing harmonization changes amongst the 3 scopes. And we're working on a number of different technologies, how they would report under scopes 1, 2, and 3. Also, like with the EPA announced their electric RINs, the renewable fuel standard inclusion of electric vehicles. So we're working with a number of stakeholder groups on how electric vehicles could qualify under the RFS, and even getting into things such as renewable thermal storage technologies and feedstocks, green hydrogen. There's just so much happening right now, and there's so much work that needs to be done for how do we direct the investment into those specific technologies.
Great, Ken. What are your hopes and visions for this council?
Well, I really want to see if I can give back to my local community. I mean, it's funny. I actually do know Clear Results, Seth. I've worked with your company for a long time up in the Northeast. But, a lot of what we do tends to be very, we're in various state capitals and working on regulatory with public utility commissions. And I want to see some tangible projects as well. And I know I've been talking with Jamie and others about some ideas I have in terms of, can we get a real, something we can all look at and point to and have the community take pride in when it comes to our investments in sustainability.
Thanks, Ken. Keith.
Hello, everyone. I'm Keith Bamberger, and in my day job, I work for the North Carolina Division of Air Quality. Job is education outreach, I work with teachers. I work with a lot of educators, and but I'm on the Blue Horizons Community Council because there are limits to what government can do, and part of that is helping people be aware of their options, aware of their solutions, and both at business levels and individuals and communities. And my long-term goal goes back a bajillion years ago. I read a book on car-free cities, which was talking about how through density and planning, it solves so many different issues. And as I read this book, even though it was comparing Los Angeles to Amsterdam to a fictional city, I saw Asheville there because Asheville is very space constrained. Amsterdam in the same way. And where they had organically came to this, other places are going to have to be conscious and plan for it. And so I'm hoping that in, 50 years times, 20 years times, whenever we can see the conscientious effort we made to reduce carbon, have cleaner, healthier communities. And on the short term, I really, I would like the Blue Horizons to help bring together all these conversations, because there are lots of conversations and the people aren't inherently forced to talk together. They don't inherently know that they need to talk to different people. And so between all the members on this committee, the people we know, the people we work with, we can really bring together a larger community to have these discussions, to work towards those tangible, real world solutions, things that we can do now and planning for the future.
Thanks, Keith. Dave and Jeffrey are the last two. Either of you can go right now.
Yeah, I'll go. I'm Dave Erb. I'm an automotive engineer. I'm actually retired now, but I spent 40 years as an automotive engineer. I'm trained as an aerospace engineer. I did my master's work on a joint venture program between Virginia Tech and NASA Langley. But when I got out of school, the job that appealed to me was in the truck and bus industry. I worked, done mainly emissions and energy work pretty much from 1981 until the present. I'm retired now, but the first job was with a heavy truck manufacturer. The second one was a transit bus manufacturer. I got into electric and hybrid electric vehicles in the early 80s. And that has become my specialty over time. I've spent the last 30 years of my career as a college professor, so I was working with students who were doing those projects rather than out in industry. I had a consultancy in the middle of all of that. I spent about 10 years basically training practicing engineers how to design their first hybrid electric vehicle. I tell people I didn't train the people that designed the first Prius, but I trained the people who wrote the service manuals for it. And a whole bunch of other people from across industry. I was on the Asheville Transit Commission for 6.5 years, which is a half year beyond the term limit. There's a little story behind that. So I'm quite a public transit advocate. My I guess long-term goal, I'd like to see I'd like to see us be able to have the city of the general population of the city of Asheville have the same sense of urgency about our issues that we have about them. I think people here are remarkably cognizant of those issues, way beyond anywhere else I've lived. But I'd like to see them adopt our sense of urgency. And my short-term goal, much more specific and much more tangible, is to make sure that we get to keep a fair net metering tariff and don't let that get compromised away as there's such a movement to happen right now. So anyway.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you. Jeffrey, last but not least, from the BHPCC side anyway, Jeffrey Barton.
Sure, I'm happy to be last and least, listening to everybody's qualifications. We've got such an amazing group here, and you know, really excited to continue to be a part of it with the new voices joining us here. I'm Jeffrey Barton. I'm Director of Real Estate Development at Mountain Housing Opportunities, which is a nonprofit affordable housing agency, homegrown in Asheville, North Carolina. We have an array of programs ranging from emergency home repair, new rental construction, and new homeownership development, affordable homeownership. So kind of run that spectrum of affordable housing. So my passion and my interest in being a part of the Blue Horizons project is that I'd love to see that the transition to renewables happen in an equitable manner and in a way that is accessible to our renter communities and our low-income homeowners in Asheville and Buncombe County. So that's something I'm very passionate about. I also serve on the Asheville Planning and Zoning Commission, and the intersections of renewable energy, sustainability, and planning and zoning policy is something that also is of great interest to me.
Thanks, Jeffrey. I appreciate it. One of the wonderful things about the Blue Horizons project is that we're a collaborative of all of these volunteers, or, you know, people who are taking time out of their day to make space to be in this, but we're also supported by the city and the county government, as well as a wonderful nonprofit Greenbelt Alliance. So I did want to have an opportunity for the staff of both Greenbelt Alliance and the city and the county to introduce themselves as well. And I'm gonna ask for a volunteer again. Or I'm just gonna pick somebody. Okay, I'm just gonna pick people. Jackie, do you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Jackie Hampstead. I'm a project manager in the sustainability office at Buncombe County. Been there for, I'm going to my fourth month, so still pretty fresh. Coming from higher education. Did you want me, is that it? Or did you want me to talk about how, like, the goals I have for?
If you have a goal, I would love to hear it.
So, I mean, similar, like, I love this reoccurring theme of like tangible, like get shit done. I'm on board with that. And similar to what Keith was saying about you know, Asheville being kind of this like national or international standard of like sustainability and equity and just like happy place to live. Shorter term goals, you know, hopefully using some upcoming federal funding opportunities to get some of that done and making sure that those resources end up in Buncombe County.
Wonderful. Dave from the Green Built side.
I'm technically not staff, but I'm happy to go anyways. Yeah, my name is Dave Gordon.
Staffish.
And staffish. I'm kind of spearheading the strategic plan that we're working on to kind of go through all the different potential topics, initiatives, and ways that we might be able to get to that goal of 100% renewable energy by 2042. That's kind of my goal or my role in all this, but it is also a goal. So I think probably for me personally, goal within this next year is get that report completed so we can have kind of some concrete stuff that we've really taken a good look at, and we can say, look, these are the ones that we, through our analysis and through all the expertise that we have in this group and in this committee, in this council, we can say these are the ones that we think look the most promising, have the best value, can, you know, and address all these different priorities and issues that we're hoping to address. So that's kind of short-term goal. Long-term goal, yeah, I mean, kind of like what folks are saying, I would love to see Buncombe County be a place that not only is happy, healthy for us, but, you know, it's all connected. So it has these wrinkles out into our state, our country, our world, really, that bring us all to a better place.
Thanks. Kira, are you in a place where you could introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Yes, thank you. I'm in my office here at City Hall. I'm Kira Boulan. I'm Sustainability Program Manager for the City of Asheville, and I am very pleased to be with you. Sometimes there's a lot of activity here, so I'll keep my camera off from time to time. But I've been with the city for about 3 years, and I come from a background in food policy and the nonprofit sector, and transitioned into my role here doing program management and working with our climate justice initiative. Work closely with the staff for the Blue Horizon project on contract management for this project and for some of the other community-based contracts that we have to implement our community-facing projects here at the city. And I am excited about lots of things. I think in the near term, you all have said lots of things. I'll try to reiterate what you've already said, but I'm always harping on and excited about the measurement of an articulation of our impact, both the Blue Horizons and work that you all are doing, but also with our work here at the city. It's so much work to do, and I'm happy to see to see this coming up here. So much work to do in telling the story of the projects that are going on. So being able to measure and articulate that, and then the cross-sector collaboration that happens in this group, and that includes us in the public sector, and being able to better collaborate and plan, that allows us to kind of scale up our implementation. You know, how can we do this bigger and better across the multiple sectors that it requires for change? So excited to be a part of this group as always, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Hannah, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hey y'all, I'm Hannah Egan, the Outreach and Resource Coordinator for Energy Savers Network. I've been with Greenbelt Alliance for about a little over 4 years, but focused on the income qualified weatherization program for about 3 now, I would say. So I have been a part of the BHPCC somewhat recently, I guess in the last like 6 months or so. I just wanted to be more involved to understand what was going on. I felt like I was kind of reporting a lot to the BHPCC, but had no involvement. So, but especially with a lot of these new funding sources coming through, again, I think this was mentioned by someone else, that it's done equitably. Since we're focused on income qualified households with our services, I think that those communities are left out of the conversation a lot when it comes to renewables. That's not something that they're always focused on or something that's attainable for them. So I just want to make sure funds and resources coming through are being allocated to them as much as possible.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Nicole, this is your first call, so please tell us all about yourself.
Hello. Well, my name's Nicole. I'm calling you guys actually from Dayton, Ohio. So I do work for the city of Asheville. I am their new sustainability coordinator. Yay. And I have a background in environmental science and sustainability from the University of South Florida. And I'm also coming to you guys not from higher education, but from the federal military, from the federal government as a military contract. I did environmental compliance there, and I wanted to kind of turn my career path towards sustainability. Not only was it something that I studied really hard for and to get a degree in, but something that kind of really just makes me feel like I can actually accomplish something that's not just going to be helpful for me, but for my community as well. I would really like to see things on fleet electrification and just kind of expanding resources for not just municipalities, but residential electrification for like cars, buses, garbage trucks, and things like that.
Wonderful. Welcome. And it's really nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Let's see. We have Sam Mark, our fearless leader. Sam, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm thrilled by all the new folks on the call and your experience and passion for this effort and all the people who've been with us for many years now. So yeah, I'm Sam Mark, the Executive Director for Greenbelt Alliance, and been focused on this for sustainability for almost 25 years now, and lead our Greenbelt Alliance for 7. And my hope for this year is to raise a ton of money to scale our efforts, because we've got a lot of things happening, but we just have to amplify and expand and scale our impact. So that's my hope and dream. I want to work with all of you to make it happen.
Thanks, Sam. And Bridget, we're going to have a chance to hear from you later, but just please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Bridget Herring. I'm the Sustainability Director for the City of Asheville. I've been with the city since 2016, was in the Energy Program Coordinator position before taking over in the Director role this past April, which is a privilege and an honor. I think that what excites me about this group and this work is, the original mission of the community-wide goal for 100% renewable energy by 2042, and recognizing that that's going to take individuals in our community to make that choice to be a part of the solution. And that means that the solutions need to be driven by community and in community conversation, and not from necessarily the public sector driving that conversation. So I'm excited to see that conversation continue to unfold. And in the short term, I'm excited to see this work kind of evolve. You know, we've been at it for a few years now, and I think it's nice to watch the work change and grow as we learn and we have new opportunities. And so I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Nice. Thanks, Bridget. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I want to give a shout out to Brad Rouse too. He's not staff, but I think he spends as much time on this as anybody who gets paid to do it. So Brad, we're going to move on because we have to pick a time for this meeting, which is going to take a while, but I just wanted to name you and know that we see you and we appreciate you. All right, guys, open your calendars. Here we go. Now, we are currently meeting on, what is this, the second Tuesday, which also happens to be the standing time for Asheville City Council. And well, it's in after this, but you know, it's no fun to run from meeting to meeting. We are excited to welcome Council Member Ullman. And also because staff are supporting from the city, I think it'd be wise for us to pick a new meeting time. We've had folks suggest that for working professionals, it is challenging to make a 2-hour meeting during the workday. So I'm going to throw that out there. I also know it's challenging if you have kids after the workday, and it's challenging if you have anything in your life that you like to do after work and you don't want to be in a meeting at 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock or something like that. So there's a trade-off there. I think we have a few other meetings we want to avoid. So I think Tuesdays are out. It's also the county meets on alternate Tuesdays, I believe. So we're going to just avoid Tuesdays. Monday sometimes is a holiday. And I think Greenbelt staff, are you guys pretty booked up on Mondays? Oh, Summer and Jamie, I didn't.
Yeah,
call
we're real
on
booked
you.
up on
Introduce
Mondays.
yourself.
That's okay. We got 15 minutes left in this agenda item in case.
I know we're gonna, Summer and Jamie, we're gonna ask you to write a biography and present it at the next meeting. Slides, photos. I want baby photos. I want cat photos. I want to know your parents and your aunties and uncles and everybody else. So next meeting, all you. Summer and Jamie actually are our primary support staff for the BHP. They coordinate, they do everything to make this thing work. So we will be giving them rounds of applause throughout the year and appreciate their work very much. Summer's taking notes right now. Jamie's running tech support and every other kind of support we possibly could think of. So I appreciate y'all, and we're going to move on. So Mondays. Oh, you're on mute.
GBA has much meetings on Mondays.
So we're going to avoid Mondays. That leaves Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Now we have some standing meetings that already exist on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we're going to try not to conflict with them. I think I'd like to suggest that we meet on Wednesdays and we do something in the late afternoon into early evening and be done by dinner. Yeah, I'm just going to take a temperature check on that. So 5 is I'm all about that. 4 is I can make that work. 3 is I'm not sure. Can we keep exploring other options? 2 is would rather not. And 1 is just like, please don't make me. So 5 is like the best. 1 is like, I would rather, that's giving me major agita. A 0 is just like, oh, I'm going to quit. So that's what I see here. I got some 4s, 5s, 4.
When you say into dinner,
Before dinner, have you out by dinner. That's the goal. So I'm thinking like 4 to 5:30.
Okay.
I would also like to make this meeting a little more concise. All right. 4 5s, 4 5s. Ken and Rocky. I'm wondering what you're thinking.
Is this
Wednesday, and the concept would be do late afternoon into early evening so that we, maybe could leave work early or something like this. Bridget Herring is asking which week of the month.
That's my thing. There's 2 of the weeks I couldn't do as a standing meeting. So if it were the first Monday, I'm a go. And if it is the third Monday, or excuse me, Wednesdays, we're talking about Wednesdays. Huh. If it were the first or third Wednesdays, that would be fine for me.
Okay. Rocky, what do you think about the concept of doing a 4 to 5:30 meeting?
It's better. I was thinking you were gonna shoot for something in the morning, like 9 to 10 or something like that. But
We that is on the table too. We could do that.
it's just, I mean, I work in the Pacific time zone, so that's my problem.
I
4 to
was
5
wondering if folks
middle
were
day for
supporting
me.
different time zones might actually prefer the morning. Okay. So we're gonna do another temperature check. You guys remember 5 to 1, 10:30 to 9:30, or 9 to 10:30 on a Wednesday. We're gonna narrow it down to which Wednesday of the month in a minute.
It's AM, right? Not PM.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, no. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay, 2. I got a 2.
Sorry, what was the vote? Sorry, I was looking at my calendar.
Wednesday, 9 to 10:30 a.m. I got 1, 2.
Ken says no.
I got a 1 from Keith. I got a 3, a 3. This is less popular. So I got a 5 from Jackie. All right. All right. Should we consider the same time? Or should we go to a different day in the afternoon? What about lunchish? Thumbs up for lunch meetings, thumbs down for no lunch meetings.
As long as we can eat our lunch, and that's okay.
I'm looking for Ken's face. Ken, are you thumbs up or a thumbs down?
He's a thumbs down.
Yeah. Thumbs
Okay.
down on this one.
I see your face. I just don't see your like actual face. Okay. So we're gonna stick with, I think, what about Fridays from 9 to 10:30? We're not gonna do an evening meeting on a Friday. So what about 9 to 10:30 on a Friday? Jamie, we have a conflict? Jamie's a 5. Okay.
I'm a no for a Friday afternoon meeting because nobody will be there.
Oh, no. The Friday morning is, the motion is Friday in the AM. Could be 9:30 to 11. It could be 9 to 10:30 is what I'm thinking. I got a 5. Ken says 1. All right. Ben says 1. Ken and Ben are out.
Sam has a 1 too.
Sam has a 1 too. Sam, is there a conflict we need to know about?
My 5-year-old.
Your 5-year-old. Oh, she's adorable though. She could be on the meeting. I would
Well,
appreciate
she tries, but it's not too big for me. She likes to show up.
She's really sweet. All right. Thursday from 4 to 5:30. Thursday afternoon from 4 to 5:30. Rocky, does that work for you? It's still that Pacific Coast thing, I hear you, but could we make it work?
Actually, I'm seeing Wednesday is better than Thursday for me for that timing, actually.
Okay. So many temperature checks, guys.
I'm sorry.
I've done a lot of community organizing, so Maggie is not, it's not going to work for Maggie, I think. All right. I think we have to call it for either Wednesday or Thursday. Nobody, we really got mixed signals on lunch. The only other time slot would be maybe AM hours Thursday morning. And we'll see if we can get a unanimous vote after that. Otherwise, we're going to have to, I think, call it for Wednesday afternoon, even though some folks were not able to make that work. If you have a serious opposition, we could still voice that for sure. But Thursday from 10, or excuse me, from 9 or 9:30, we can decide and then a 1.5 hour meeting from whatever time we start. I got a 5. I got a 5. 4, 3, 4, 3, 4, 4, 3. Do I have anybody that cannot do that? Is that a 0, Ken?
Okay.
Oh, that's a
Ken's
5.
That's a 0.
Yeah.
That's a 0. Yes. That's,
Ben, Jeffrey, Ken, they're all ones on that one.
Ben, Jeffrey, Ken. Okay.
There's another,
So
there's
I
another
think
one too.
Wednesday, I think what we have is Wednesday in the afternoon. Was there anybody that absolutely could not make Wednesday from 4 to 5:30 work? And is there any way we can work around that by making it, I think the 1st and the 3rd Wednesday was
The first, I have to update. The 3rd is the SACY meeting. for
Oh
the
yeah, we were
city.
trying to avoid Stacy. That's
Yeah,
right.
so
That
the first,
I knew that.
The first Wednesday would work.
Okay. Stacy's the 3rd, right? Yeah, okay. Is there anybody that cannot make that work? Absolutely. All right.
So point of order on the subcommittees, can they be pushed back a week? Because right now they're all on the first week of the month. And so if we're going to get an agenda out for the first Wednesday, if we can do the subcommittees on the 4th week of the month, that would be better. Sorry, I might be changing the topic.
No,
No,
it's
I
important.
think that's good, Jamie, because we need to have the subcommittees at least a week before the regular meeting, so then we'll have to shift those.
All right. Do we see anybody from a subcommittee? Absolutely no, they cannot change that.
I think we got a lot of new folks too, so they can choose subcommittees and we can redo those schedules as well. Because there's like 6 of 13 are new people, so that's
Okay.
cool too. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that shifts those back a week too.
Yeah, the council will just recommend to subcommittees that they revisit their meeting times as well and adjust for the new meeting. Okay. Do we need to do a vote and a motion, or we'll just say by decree? Okay, by decree. Our new meeting is from 4 to 5:30 on the first Wednesdays of the month. Thank you all. That was almost within our time slot.
We got 6 more minutes and we're supposed to hear from Bridget. I don't know how long Bridget wants to talk for.
That was very impressive. I thought we weren't going to make it. And I was like, doodle poll, but it worked. So way for enduring, Michelle, and for leading. Thank you.
You know how many emails you would have gotten about a doodle poll?
I know, it would have been worse.
You know, what I do. Okay. We do need to nominate a vice chair. I served as vice chair last year. It was very helpful to watch Keith run the meetings, to get to know everyone, to kind of learn about the way the staff work. I think
You ran a couple meetings too.
The vice chair also steps in when the chair is unable to serve for whatever purpose, and for select projects, like maybe drafting a letter, maybe not. The vice chair also will run the recruitment process with staff at the end of the year. So that you're going to be helping to shape the council for when you would resume as chair or assume the chairmanship next year. So I am seeking nominations for vice chair. By the way, I had been on a council for 2 meetings when I became vice chair, so don't let that stop you.
Yeah, if you're new, you can go for it. Don't hold back.
Almost everyone's new. Also, this thing has only been around for 3 years, so there's that. Anyone want to self-appoint?
Keith says he doesn't want to do it.
I'm happy to self-appoint if no one else really is wanting to. I would be happy to do that, but I also defer to anyone else who's interested.
I'll be happy to nominate Ben.
All right.
Fantastic.
Nomination. I guess we'll call that a nomination in a second. All in favor. Ben, have you led meetings before?
I have led meetings. Yes, I have led meetings as a lobbyist, coalition meetings. So I would love to step up to the plate.
Are there any other nominations? I mean, maybe we can have speeches and political and campaign flyers and no.
I know Clary has a background in organizing, and so does Micah. So though I wonder if either of them would accept a nomination.
I don't have any strong opinions on this. So I think if Ben is intrigued by it, I support that.
I support his nomination as well.
Okay. All right. Ben, it sounds like you might have the votes. So all in favor of Ben Stockdale serving as vice chair of the Blue Horizons Community Council for a term that shall start at this meeting and end at the December meeting, where he then will become the chair. Say aye. Or
Aye.
right.
Aye.
Or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, very good. Any abstains? Abstention? Rocky, are you abstaining?
No, I'm sorry. I was holding and trying to operate.
It's
I was
okay.
still,
Politics are weird. Sometimes people have to abstain. It's fine. Okay. It's really awkward, but does anybody want to say nay? All right. Ben, congratulations. And thank you for being willing to serve. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, y'all. That means a lot. Really exciting, unexpected, but very exciting nonetheless. And I didn't prepare an acceptance speech. You'll have to forgive me, but I do thank everyone and really excited to get to work here.
Wonderful. All right, Ben, well, welcome aboard. And we are only 10 minutes over. We're going to do one bit of homework before I end this segment is I really like people to maybe just reflect before the next meeting on times they have seen highly effective groups and how they function, and like what was a characteristic of a highly effective group that you were a part of. And next time we're going to run through that list and set some norms and agreements. So that's your homework. But for right now, I think it is time to turn it over to Bridget if I am right.
I made up the times on the agenda, so I mean, we should probably give her 10 minutes at least. There's definitely enough time in this agenda for that. So is 10 minutes enough? Oh, hold on.
Well, especially since Sarah's not on the agenda, it's an easy adjust to make.
Yeah. Bridget, do you need 10 minutes or less or more?
Less is fine.
All right, there you go. 10 minutes, the floor is yours.
Hey, everybody. Again, Bridget Herring, Sustainability Director. And I got a request that some folks were interested to learn more about what the city was doing in the space of renewable energy and energy efficiency. And so I wanted to give you an update on a couple of projects that I think this group might be interested in. So currently we have 2 solar projects that are in development, and those are going on the Broadway Public Safety Station that's being constructed on Broadway Avenue. And then also the Wesley Grant Center in the South Side is having an expansion project where they're building an additional building on that site that's going to house a gym, and that's going to have a rooftop solar array on it as well. So those are 2 additional net metered systems that are currently under construction and will be added to the 5 active systems that we have in place right now. Other projects that might be of interest to this group is that we're working on a comprehensive facilities study. And so this is something that's going to look at all of the city-owned facilities and do condition assessments to see what condition they're in, what we would need to do to bring them up to different levels of condition or quality. This also is going to look at like space needs and space utilization, and then help us do some capital forecasting and planning that we can pass over to City Council to kind of decide what direction they want to go with it. So it's exciting to look at our portfolio of buildings in one look. We haven't done that in quite some time. And there's also a sustainability piece to that, where we're taking a certain subset of buildings that have different occupancy types to look a little bit deeper into what it would take to reach our carbon and our renewable energy goals, like for some of those facilities, and then see how we can maybe expand those lessons across the portfolio to give some more context into what it would mean to do the most that we can, investing in our own facilities before going outwards, which was a priority that we heard during our 100% renewable energy planning process when we did a lot of stakeholder engagement. The last project I want to talk to you about is the Municipal Climate Action Plan. So the city has a 2009 Sustainability Management Plan, but since that time, council has updated or adopted a number of additional policies that include 100% renewable energy, climate emergency, food policy. And so we're basically taking that document and updating it with the goals that council has passed since then. The focus of this plan is for municipal operations and ranges from anything to deal with like stormwater, from renewable energy and building efficiency. So that plan is kind of coming together. We've been working with the Sustainability Advisory Committee on that. The Sustainability Advisory Committee will be meeting January 18th at 3:30. And you can go on the website to see some of the past materials. And basically, it's going to have 22 recommendations in it of what we're calling activities that are going to drive progress on our goals and resolutions that council has passed. And the Sustainability Advisory Committee basically came up with a prioritization lens of what we wanted to take all of the different recommendations that came through to figure out what was going to be prioritized. And so the committee decided that the most important things were impact, feasibility, and equity. So that's the lens in which these 22 recommendations kind of surface to the top. So more information to come. We're hoping to take that a final copy to the Sustainability Advisory Committee and ultimately City Council, probably later February, March timeframe, somewhere in there. And then lastly, I heard, got some feedback that people felt a little disconnected maybe from the city and what was happening. And so I just want to make sure that everybody here is aware that our department puts out a quarterly newsletter. So if you want to be updated on the work that's happening in our department, because it ranges quite broad, it's not just energy. We have a climate justice initiative, we have food policy, we have plastic reduction project that's going on. If you want to kind of stay in the know on everything that we're doing, we do have a website with pages, but you can also just subscribe your email to our quarterly newsletter so you can get something in your inbox to see kind of what we're up to. So that's really all I wanted to share with you all today.
Hey, Bridget, minor thing. So the Sustainability Advisory Committee is the new SACI, right? They shortened their name.
So they're making that recommended change. It's not official yet, but that's in process, yes. And that is a resident advisory council that advises council on decisions, and all of those members are appointed by council as well. And that committee meets every other month in the odd number months on the third Wednesdays from 3:30 to 5:30. They're virtual meetings. You can stream them online, and the meeting materials are posted on their webpage as well.
I don't see anybody here that's on SACI now, but I know that we had excuse me, brain fart. Steve Barron. Yeah. And then also Chris Pelrine. Yeah, they kind of go back and forth.
And I think there's some new members joining, including Sophie, who used to be staff here. So that's great. Does anybody have any questions for Bridget? Bridget, can you take, I think we have 4 minutes. So can you take 4 minutes of questions? Would that be okay?
Sure.
I have one. I'm curious, and it might be part of the larger planning that you were talking about, but I know we focus a lot on buildings and there's been a lot of good headway made there. Can you tell us any progress on transitioning city fleet? Are there benchmarks or goals there?
So the city fleet, we have a fleet replacement policy that helps to guide to make sure that the most efficient vehicle that can be utilized will be replaced with something of that nature. So far, the city has explored electric vehicles in the space of we have 5 electric buses for the transit system, and then parking services has 2, I believe, vehicles that they utilize for checking meters, as well as we have 2 F-150 Lightnings on way. Nobody knows when they're going to show up, but excited to add those to the fleet. So definitely slow going, but things are happening.
Thanks.
Hey, Bridget, I'm curious, what's the capacity on those 2 solar projects that you mentioned?
So the Broadway Public Safety Station is going to be a 66 kilowatt system, and then the Grant Center is going to have a 100 kilowatt system.
Thanks.
Was there any thought given, this is Ken Nelson, any thought given to a microgrid for the fire station, or any sort of like public microgrids where we might harden for resiliency or anything of that nature?
We had conversations about that and did some work to ready the facility for a potential expansion in that area, but that was not approved as part of the budget for the project.
Bridget, is there anything that the council can do to be supportive of your work and the work of the initiatives that you mentioned?
So there'll be some public engagement opportunities for folks that are interested in single-use plastic reduction. That'll be coming up on the horizon. I'll be happy to share that with this group. Otherwise, I think what I really value this group for, and what I said at the beginning, is really taking a good look at the programs that are being implemented. Obviously, the city and the county put a significant amount of funding in the Blue Horizons project, and we want to make sure that those dollars are being spent well. And so having the community really taking a look at that and thinking critically about what we're doing and how we're investing to make sure that we can continue to keep investing in this project, I think is one of the best things y'all can do.
Bridget, thanks so much for making time to be here today and for everything you're doing.
And then the county, it might talk next month about their updates, I believe, from the emails that were flying around today. So we'll get an update from the county as well, but not today.
Yeah, we've invited Jeremiah to come, who is, I think, is his title Director of Sustainability for Buncombe County, to either the February or the March meetings. And Jackie's here to be our liaison all the time, which is great. The next item, we're going to go into committee reports. So Dave Gordon is first on the list for 100% renewable energy strategic plan. Dave, do you have an update for us?
Yes, I'd be happy to give an update. So as many of you know, we're sort of in the thick of things, trying to dive deep, kind of what I was referring to earlier, into a lot of the initiatives that we've gone through and kind of proposed as some of the most promising, to continue to look at them with sort of a lens of scalability, feasibility, equity, and cost versus benefit in general, and to kind of see what floats to the top. So we've made some good progress. We still have quite a bit of progress to go, but we're getting there, and we're hoping to have that, basically at least the first draft of that done by the end of the month. So we've got some work to do this month, but we've gotten a lot of work done on it already. So we're getting close, and that's the biggest thing that we're focusing on right now.
Thanks, Dave. And for the new members, I think we had you had solicited participation in this subject matter areas at a couple previous meetings, so I don't want to go too deep into that again. But I wonder if you can, are you still looking for people to participate in the subject matter?
Yes, I mean, I would say that especially with all the new folks coming in, there's a lot of knowledge that we would love to have brought into the fold. So I can share here in a sec, but the short of it is that we have basically 6 major topics, and I'll share a link to a shared folder, and that kind of has those 6 topics. Feel free to give your input into any or all of them if you would like. But the short of it is that within each of those folders and those topics, there's sort of this template that I created asking for sort of a phase 1 and phase 2 analysis. And you'll see it. It's pretty straightforward. There's some directions on there. But for example, you know, one of the things might be better building challenge as a potential initiative. So what are the things that, or basically if you're looking at that as an initiative under a topic, then, you know, you're looking at, okay, what do we think the scalability of this is? What do we think the equity of a program like this would be? And we're just kind of looking at it from low, medium, high for favorability, and then sort of given a description of how and why you came to that. And it's sort of these are all group shared documents. So you have questions, you can make comments, you can make suggestions, and we're kind of all looking at it together and trying to give our input. And then there's also a second phase where we're looking at stuff like what else, what are some additional resources, who are going to be the planning departments or the partnering organizations that might be in charge of this, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll see all that in there, but that's sort of a brief, I know that's a lot of info, but that's sort of a brief overview of what we're looking at and what we're doing. And I'll try to share that folder right now.
Thanks, appreciate it. And we'll put it in the meeting minutes as well.
Cool.
All right, is there an update from the tech committee?
Yes, there is an update from the tech committee. And if I'm currently the chair and you can too. So if the tech committee is your jam, this could be your seat. So just think about it. But we had a really great conversation this month. I think the tech committee has been looking for something to sink their teeth into, and they got a hold of what Dave was just talking about. He has a matrix for each of the different kinds of initiatives that'll help us get to 100% renewables. And we took a deep dive into heat pump water heaters. I had it up a second ago. I was going to show everybody. But we went line by line. It was like a working committee meeting. I generally like to do work of the meeting before the meeting instead of doing work of the meeting in the meeting. But in this case, it worked out really well because folks were able to really like bounce ideas off each other about how heat pump water heaters work. And it really felt like a slam dunk that you get 3 or 4 times the savings from a heat pump water heater versus either a gas or existing electric water heater. If you don't know what that is, it's like a compressor on top of a water tank that takes heat out of the air and puts it in the water. It causes a cooling effect in the air. And so in this climate, we thought it was a slam dunk all the way, and EPA and Energy Star and the National Renewable Energy Laboratory, NREL, all said it was, but there's a little asterisk at the bottom. I got a call from Don Nicholson today, and he was like, actually, if you have electric resistance heat, you don't actually get a lot of benefit, because what ends up happening is that the heat pump water heater pulls the heat out of the air and they fight each other, right? So you end up having your electric resistance heat heating the water. And so you get almost no benefit at all. His idea is, okay, well, then you install a heat pump water heater, and in 6 to 10 years, whenever they replace their HVAC system or their electric heat system and it goes to a heat pump or something more efficient, then they get the 3 to 5 time benefit. So he's like, you know, when you present today, don't be like, hey, it's a slam dunk and the technology committee figured it out. It's the best thing, panacea ever. It's a win, but it's a nuanced win. And so we should be clear when we're communicating that. But that's the kind of stuff that we talked about in the tech committee. And in this particular instance, we just went line by line through action initiative number 4. There's lots of action initiatives that are, oh, there's my smiling face again and again.
There you go.
It's a good thing I chose that picture from my profile. This could have been a lot worse right now. But yeah, so we're probably gonna do that again at the tech committee, and you can also do this if you are a subject area expert of one of these topics. There's a few that still need to be filled out as far as analyzing what's going on in the strategic plan. And that's really where the technology committee has been focusing the last few months, is taking the technical expertise and trying to apply it to the strategy that Dave and his group have been working on. Anyone on the tech committee? Did I miss anything there? That's really what we did this month. I looked at Summer. She was there.
Nice, Dave. Jamie, I really appreciate that the strategic planning process is going through that kind of committee review. And I wonder if the other committees are having a similar process, like the communications committee in particular.
For the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
Summer, you got anything to say about that? It's quite an active committee. She's about to ask them to do some work for the outreach piece, but I don't think they've reviewed the 100% renewable plan yet.
I'm next to give an update. So there's some overlap between that committee and the strategic planning and tech committees too. So some of them are already working on it. But community engagement wise, we're kind of piloting a program to reach a lot of people in the community at once. So we are doing some outreach at churches, and I gathered a list of not just churches, but other faith-based organizations that work with Creation Care Alliance in the county. And we are going to make some phone calls to them and find out if they want to have a presentation for their congregations, if they want us to come do some weatherization. We have resources to do 2 small buildings right now, and we would ideally gather volunteers from those churches to do the work. For churches that are maybe more well off, they could sponsor that for others in the community. So we have to make some phone calls to figure out exactly what the interest is and how it's going to work. But we thought it'd be a great way to involve a lot of people at once, get them empowered in a place that they care about, and be able to take some action home and spread it further into the faith community in Buncombe County. So we have a little script going, and the community engagement committee has signed up to start making phone calls in the next couple weeks.
And if anyone on the call goes to a church,
Jamie's talking to me. If anyone in the call goes to a church, they should do something. Jamie taught.
It doesn't work when I talk through your mic.
No.
If you go to church and you want to, I'm still on your mic.
Go ahead.
If you want to do this and you go to a church, then you should call Summer or reach out to Summer and we can sort something out, whether it's a presentation or doing weatherization or whatever. So help us do the outreach if you have those connections, please. Brad had his hand up a minute ago. I imagine it has to do with with the technology committee.
Well, no, it had to do with the low income committee because, or we've pretty much gone through all of our initiatives, and I think we have everything that, we've got something filled out for that strategic planning effort for the low income. So that progress has been made. Actually, we did that right away. And that what makes it easy is that these are, for the most part, ongoing programs, although and things like Energy Savers Network and neighbor to neighbor solar. One thing that we started to work on, we haven't finished, is the whole idea of doing a community solar project as one way, as something that would kind of be pioneering, but the tax credits for the IRA, and this sort of crosses over between utility scale solar and low income, because under the IRA, community solar gets, we could probably cite one and get it 60% refund from the government if we did it right, maybe even 70. Because the IRA benefits are stackable, and with community solar, if you have 40 or 50% participation from low income people, then you just get some incredible benefits to do that. And this is a megawatt, has to be at least a megawatt, or maybe 2 megawatts, has to be pretty big.
So am I up?
Yeah, we're right on time. Well, it's 4:20 and we're a couple minutes over, so we're pretty close. Go.
Great.
I think you are up.
Chief, if you could go, that'd be great.
Great. So in December, the Transportation Committee met. We had a pretty broad meeting with a lot of different people, including the MPO. We had the Clean Cities represented. We had individuals who have interest in the area of transportation. We had, well, anyway, we had Stan Cross from Clean Energy Alliance. So it was a pretty big, broad meeting. First time I've actually seen all of these people in the room at once. And this is a space I've been working in for a while, well, long time. And we just started with assessing where we're at and looking at different roles, different things that people can do. We looked at populations and resilience. Our goal is to actually, in the next month, we're going to meet in a working meeting like the technology committee, but meet in a working meeting to look at the strategic plan around transportation, having people fill out the form before, then going through it and, having a discussion about that. Haven't set that date yet, but that's our plan moving forward with transportation, which of course is pretty broad-based, but yeah, I'm happy to answer any additional questions or be finished. And I know there's several of you were there. Did I catch all the highlights?
Did we set a standing time yet? I don't think so.
We didn't set a time yet. We don't have a standing time for the meeting either. So those are two things that we've got to establish.
Sounds like a
And
good
maybe
1st meeting. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I think it was a great meeting. And I was just gonna say on top of that, as Keith mentioned, and sort of circling back to your question earlier, Michelle, about has there been sort of some integration and conversation between the strategic plan and filling out those templates and doing that analysis, between us and some of the other committees. And yeah, just to say there have been some conversations about it, as Keith mentioned. That's going to kind of be the next big thing to tackle with that group. And there have been other conversations about it with community engagement folks, with Summer and Jamie. Some of it is, stuff that we can work on now, and some of it is stuff that we kind of need to finish the report and kind of get this analysis done before we can start communicating the results out. So there are conversations being had and taking place, but that's sort of where that stands.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Sam, fundraising?
Yeah, so we have 3 grants that we're going to be applying for in the next 30 days. They're all kind of small to medium-sized grants. One's Bank of America, one's with Dogwood Health Trust, and one's with Community Foundation, West North Carolina. All 3 are essentially for funding weatherization, ESN, and also looking at the possibility of some of this heat pump water heater program implementation, this whole thing about bulk buying, kind of a solarized campaign for heat pump water heaters. So that is a possibility for one of the applications as well. There were several of us sustainability leaders in the Southeast. We had a meeting last Friday with Michael from the Southeast Sustainable Directors Network, who's really keeping his finger on the pulse of what's happening on the Inflation Reduction Act coming out of DC and the different entities there. So there's more known right now about what's emerging and some of the pots of money and what they'll be allocated for. However, there's no application opportunity open in this moment. So we're kind of waiting on the opportunity when they'll say, okay, this is open for this amount of money, let's do this at this point, this time. So we're still tracking that and doing research into looking into what's coming, and then thinking things through about how we can utilize some of this money to scale some of our initiatives. And also it's kind of really nice timing with the emergence of the 100% renewable strategic planning process, and looking at how much some of these efforts are how much funding some of these efforts are going to take. And then through that, looking at how do we apply for various sources of funds, whether that's IRA or infrastructure or foundation money, or other avenues as well. So that is what's happening on the fundraising front.
Thanks, Sam. Hannah, any update from Energy Savers Network?
Yeah, I just have a brief update. With the end of the calendar year for 2022, we have upgraded 193 homes. We've exceeded our goal for the last 2 quarters, so we're well on schedule for the fiscal year. Like Sam said, we are applying for more Dogwood Health Trust money. We are completing the funds that we have through June of this year. And then we will have 2 applications. So this program will continue through June 2024 for the home repairs. And we've actually been able to help more households than we anticipated with that as well. Our goal was 40. And by the once these funds have been spent, I expect 45 to 50 homes will have received those services. We are moving along with HVAC projects. We should be getting a finalized contract from the city to be signed soon. And that will give us a lump sum, which we're hoping will move those projects along more quickly, and be able to start helping some of these households that we have in the city limits as well. We are getting ready to submit data to Amy Musser for the measurement and verification. I did receive some data from Duke that is accurate. I'm still getting some data that is wildly inaccurate, but I did receive some. So I think we'll have a little bit of something to work with, but that's kind of the best we can do right now. But I got some this morning and I got really excited, and then I looked at it and once again, it was definitely not accurate. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks, but at least we have something to work with. So tell them about the fun tree meeting. Yeah, so yesterday we did have a meeting with Asheville Greenworks. They are looking to provide and plant trees for some of our clients that are good candidates that are interested. So far, from what I understand, they've only been planting trees themselves on public land. So in parks, greenways, I think on Haka properties. And then they have their like tree giveaway things that people can come and get them and do them themselves. But in the situation for our households and clients that we serve, they would be taking the tree to their house and doing all of that groundwork, you know, making sure there's not utilities in the way, and providing an educational piece on how to take care of it once it is planted. So that just happened yesterday. So it's definitely in its infant stage, but it was really exciting and a really good meeting, and yeah, something to look forward to. I think that's all I have, unless anyone has questions.
Any questions, particularly from new folks, or these subcommittees and kind of project summaries? Does everyone, if you need any deeper dive into explaining what we're talking about, do not hesitate to raise your hand. Or there's actually this symbol, the jargon giraffe, which is like kind of rock and roll, like to have horns, but like this, and this can help you. Just like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, and don't be ashamed. Just be like, I need you to break down that acronym or explain what you mean when you say neighbor to neighbor solar. Jump in, because you can also just write in the chat question marks, or can you explain in more detail? So there's that.
Yeah, I know we did like a little kind of program intro a couple weeks or it must have been a couple of months ago, but maybe that might be beneficial for new members at some point that are familiar.
29 minutes are remaining.
Thank you. Not today, but thank you, Hannah. We'll keep that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to model the timing thing, you know,
You're doing well, and I have a goal of getting us out early, so there's that too. Neighbor to neighbor solar. Summer, could you let us know what's happening there? Thank you.
Yes. So it's also great to have Clary on here because maybe there's an update from them. But for the new folks, our neighbor to neighbor solar is a free solar initiative. We're going to be able to do 14 to 16 homes over the next 2 years. Sugar Hollow Solar is doing the installs. We did 2 at the end of last year that have been completed on some Habitat homes. We have a couple other contacts from Habitat that I'm playing phone tag with. So we'll see what happens there. One of them is going through, so that'll be our 3rd project. And Hannah just found another potential client that was served, I think, by not Energy Savers Network, but a different. They've already had their home weatherized essentially, so they're probably a good candidate as well. That's the best update right now. We're still looking for people that meet all the criteria for income, roof facing the right way, and all that. It's harder than we anticipated, but hopefully those Habitat people can be good candidates as well. I think I have 3 remaining that I'm waiting to hear from.
Thanks, Summer. How is the outreach working? Like, how are you getting leads for neighbor to neighbor?
So ESN clients are being looked at that we've served in the past. Hannah is looking at those, and then the team, as they go out to homes, are also kind of assessing if they'd be good. We were hoping to do some organic outreach at events, but we haven't been to a ton of events over the winter, so that can start up soon. Otherwise, we are asking like our Habitat contact for that. So I think there could be better outreach now that it's kind of started and we know what to expect.
Yeah, besides ESN clients, I've asked community action opportunities to keep an eye out. They know the criteria that we're looking for and serve a lot of the same communities that we do, so they're aware. And that's where the contact that I recently submitted to Sugar Hollow came from. So.
Okay, thank you.
Question there. Could you possibly, Summer, maybe drop in the chat a link to the criteria, or I would just like to somehow get my hands on that because that's an awesome program.
I will send around, I'm going to try to find a link to our flyer, and I'll send our webpage as well, just a sec.
Perfect, thanks.
And Summer, is the project with Beloved, is that part of neighbor to neighbor, or is that something else?
Yeah, I think that's from Solarize. It's the bonus project from Solarize, and they're still in permitting right now. I live in Swananoa, so I go by there every day and I look over. No, still in permitting.
Thank you.
Is there any flexibility on these criteria?
Kind of. What do you have in mind?
Just what came to mind is the couple that owns a home right behind me. I live off of South French Broad, so it's a historically Black neighborhood, and there's a really sweet couple, older couple that lives behind me. That's they've been on this street for literally over 70 years. So I mean, and actually, I just looked at my compass. They've got a south-facing roof, so I don't know, their financial standing, but I mean, they would be a really, really awesome. I would just, they'd be a great candidate if they qualify.
Yeah, Summer could totally talk to them. She's been doing all the pre-qualification calls. Do you guys have each other's contact information? Maybe you can connect after the call.
Yeah, we'll do. Thanks, Jamie.
I'll say the first neighbor to neighbor round, the qualifications have changed, but that kind of personal connection, I think, were some of the most successful installations. So for everyone on the council, this is literally called neighbor to neighbor, because I was doing what Ben is doing right now. I was looking at my neighbor's house and I was like, they have a perfect roof and I know they can't afford solar. So that's why it's called neighbor to neighbor. So if you have a neighbor that might need solar, let Summer know. Blue Horizons Project Home Energy Chats. Jamie, how's it going?
They're going all right. We had some staffing changes. Leah was here and now we have Danny, and there are building certification experts. And I also do some of the home energy chats. These are one-on-one phone calls with folks that want custom advice on what's happening at their house, unbiased about what to do next. And then afterwards, we refer them to additional program opportunities like incentives from Duke or ESN, if it makes sense, or solar companies, if it's possible to put solar on the roof and that's what they want. Qualitatively, I'd say I haven't looked at the numbers, but generally these are pretty well off folks. GBA focuses mostly on income qualified participants. So yeah, I'm in the strategic planning process. I'm looking more at like, okay, how do we help provide people a roadmap that's maybe less hands-on? Like maybe we do some sort of online tool, or we do like a worksheet to help people figure out what they're supposed to do next in their own energy journey. Still have those conversations, still take those phone calls, but maybe make it a little shorter. Some of these calls are like an hour, and it seems like if you're low to moderate income, that's not really going to work for you. It's kind of a commitment. But energy efficiency, and I don't know if y'all can get on board with this, it's kind of like going to the dentist where it's like, oh, I don't really want to do that, and then you do it and you're like, oh, I did that, I feel so much better, what a great idea. So kind of getting people over that hump of setting the appointment, making it happen is the purpose of home energy chats. I'd like to continue pushing that forward, and we've got a few more to do before the end of the year. 30 plus, I think 34 or something like that. So if you know anyone that would like a custom chat with a building expert, send them our way as well. We recruit these folks at presentations and at outreach events, and those are going to start ramping up as well. And since I'm talking, I had something I wanted to share. I was listening to a podcast, and at the end of it, it's called Science Versus. I don't know if you guys have listened to it, but it's a bunch of, it's all women that are producing the show. And they asked this older gentleman, hey, some of us are like, hey, we don't want to have babies because of climate and we're worried about the world and it seems like a bad idea. And he said, don't do that. He said, we have to have hope. Just because it's hard doesn't mean we should stop having hope. Have babies, have families, do what you're going to do as a human being to live here on earth and be successful and have like a successful life. Don't hold back. We've had hard times in the past and we got through it, and we have hard times now and we can get through it. So whether you're gonna have a baby or not, I think that's like, good advice. We can do this. I was really excited about that podcast. I've been waiting for this call to share that. That's my update.
Thanks, Jamie. I think that is all for our regularly scheduled programming. I wonder if there are any public comments or comments. I also just want to give an opportunity for any member who has any closing thoughts that might want to just, or announcements. Because I think we have actually 2 members of the public on the call who are on our committees. So they're not actually they're not strangers, let's put it that way.
I have a question. So for the transportation committee meeting last month, we did an in-person meeting, which was kind of nice to meet people in person and discuss. Do you know if there is a timeline for when we may get back to an in-person meeting for this one?
I hadn't thought about meeting in person, honestly. As a person who's usually balancing childcare, this is a lot more convenient for me. And I thought with other folks balancing professional work, this might be easier for everybody, but I'm not opposed to the idea. I would particularly be interested in doing maybe around the strategic plan launch, maybe doing some face-to-face digestion of that or some implementation of the strategic plan, depending. I haven't at all talked about this with Dave Gordon at all, but maybe he's thinking the same thing. Does anybody else have any ideas or thoughts about meeting in person?
I really appreciate the flexibility to be able to meet online, and it allows me to go right from work to here within a minute, which is really nice, as opposed to a few minutes to drive or get in the car, get out of the office, whatever. It might be interesting also to think about like a hybrid situation, like if we had a place where people could meet in person that has maybe a large screen that we could have everyone who's not in person on, you know, a large TV screen, you know, like a smart TV of some sort or something like that. There might be places where that could happen. Otherwise, I might be able to ask PGR or my company if that we could use potentially one of our spaces. But yeah, a hybrid situation might allow for kind of best of both worlds.
We actually did try that and it didn't go so well. And there is something in facilitation where they suggested if one person's on a screen, we should all be on a screen just so that people can all hear, the mic is accessible. It can be a little tricky to facilitate a hybrid meeting. Not impossible. COVID has made all things possible and a lot impossible as well. But I think I'd have a preference for not trying to do that again because it didn't work so well. But there's always opportunities to socialize. So I commit to this group to organizing an offline opportunity to meet your colleagues and cohorts sometime in the next 3 months. So in the first quarter, we will have a Blue Horizons Community Council meet and greet, happy hour. Maybe there'll be games involved. I'm not sure, but it'll happen. And I look forward to seeing you all face to face. There will be a doodle that goes out to plan that one though.
So this is from the communications summer. Wasn't there a pint night sometime in January?
There is. I was about to put that in the chat, actually. Highwire in the River Arts District is having us as their nonprofit for their nonprofit pint night. So you can order from a list of their core beers and we'll get $1 from each one. That is on the 26th. If anyone wants to go to that.
Nice.
What's the time of that?
Yeah, Summer, can you send out an invite to that for folks so we can maybe just easily have it on the calendar?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, so I guess that they open at like 3. So the proceeds will go to us all day. But obviously we won't get there till after work. So we'll be there around 5:30-ish. But everyone's welcome and
Wait.
encouraged to come.
Of course, we won't get there till after work.
I don't know.
I'm not in New Orleans anymore, am I, Toto?
Do any other members have any questions or suggestions?
So I'm excited to look through the resources that Dave shared and other things that have come our way, but I'm curious if they are kind of, like you just mentioned, the strategic planning timeline. I'm wondering if it'd be worth sharing just like what are those key dates that we're working towards? Or are there other committees that have specific timelines? And what does it look like to join a committee, maybe?
I'm going to send the announcement to the Transportation Committee to all of y'all. So there's your opportunity for that one.
I'm sorry, I had to run. Somebody was at the door. Was the question if what the timeline is looking like? Was that your question, Michelle?
That was Clary's question. Are there time
Sorry.
strategic planning benchmarks that are time bound?
We are hoping to have the analysis done in an ideal world, like the first part of it done by the end of the month. So if folks could spend some time on that this month, that would be awesome. And then I'm sure once we get everything, there will be sort of follow up and kind of ironing out some details. But yeah, we're hoping to get that done by February.
Is there if we were going to plan like a face-to-face strategic planning session, is there like by like the summer, or is there a time that might be a target time for that?
Tim, you came off mute. Did you want to jump in, or you want me to?
Well, I was just thinking it's a possibility we could maybe be ready to talk and present it at the March meeting. So we're looking at, like basically, like Dave said, by the end of January, having most of the thing together, and then we'll talk about in the strategic planning group for February. And then I know we have a SACE presentation plan for March, like the 3rd week of March. So it would either be like March, the 1st week of March, or the 1st week of April, we would be ready to like present it to this group and then start diving into getting specific feedback on any change we need to make before we make it public, which we hope to do this spring.
Probably we'll talk about this offline, but could you see it being valuable to do that as a face-to-face meeting, just to kind of, okay.
I do, yeah.
So maybe we'll do like a quarterly face-to-face might be good, or at least that one.
Yeah, and we can host at the Collider downtown. It is, you know, there's parking and all that you have to deal with, but we do have space there, and yeah, we would take Ben up on his offer as well. So I think we have some pretty good spaces to be able to convene as many people as we have on the call.
Totally.
It's 4:47. There's 13 minutes left. I'm trying to do the timing thing. Isn't it weird?
You're doing a great job. Okay. Public comment. And are there any, Bill or who else is on the call? Or Brad? Anything you'd like to add? I think that's it. All right, this is something we're gonna do. One word check-in. Just go around, first word that comes to mind. And I'll go first. I'm ready. Keith.
Excited?
He just popcorn it out, guys. Come offline, say one word, go back, and then we're done.
Poised.
Charged.
Energized.
Optimistic.
Curious.
Stoked.
Hopeful.
Dave stole my word.
Sounds like you're a little bitter.
We're both Daves. Great minds think alike.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll see you on the first Wednesday of February at 4 p.m.
Bye, y'all. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Good meeting.